Now we're going to do an elbow crush from modified scarf hold position. I'm starting off in my position, nice and tight, ready to do damage. And I'm going to work from here. I'm going to slide my hand down behind his head, lift his head up, create that space. Cover that space with the back of my leg, knee deep, control his head. Lock the grip. Now I'm really controlling his head. Now I'm going to lean forward using my whole body to control his arm. As I lean forward and control his whole arm with my body, I'm just going to raise my shoulder and my elbow up to get his wrist on top of my shoulder. And I'm going to pinch his wrist in between my ear and my shoulder here. This is going to control his arm. I want to keep this all straight and I want to keep this secure. So as I'm here, I'm pinching like this. Pinch it between my ear and my shoulder so he can't move. Now I'm going to take my arm, using this part of my arm on the back of his elbow, just barely underneath his elbow here, and I'm going to lock it in. So I lean forward, put my head on the floor, trap his wrist, lock it in, and put pressure. I want to make sure that there's space in between his arm and my body. I don't want to control it here to where I'm pushing it into my body. It's not going to work that way. I want to make sure there's a little space. I'm going to crunch my body up, lock it here, and finish. Now in fast motion. Now we're going to do an elbow crush, very similar to one you may have seen before, but this is an alternative finish, and it's good to have alternative finishes because one of them may not work, so you may have to go to the next one. So we're going to do it from this position, starting from a modified scarf hold in my position. I'm working here, all right, nice and tight. First thing I'm doing, I'm going to lift his head up, create that space, cover that space with the back of my leg here. Now once I get here, I'm going to lean forward and put my head on the floor. That's going to keep me balanced. If I don't stay balanced, you know, this guy may be strong, may be able to scramble and get out. So I'm going to put my head on the floor to stay balanced. Now once I get my head on the floor, I'm going to put my shin across his chest. I'm going to keep my weight low as I put my shin across his chest. Here, now from here, I'm going to fall backwards and roll towards his head. Just lay on my side towards his head. Now from here, lock my knees together, tight here, this way, and I'm going to apply pressure on his elbow, right underneath his elbow. I'm also going to trap his wrist in between my ear and my shoulder, here. Create space in between my body and his arm, and apply that pressure. Now, in full speed. Options, options, options. It's all about having options from side control, options to finish. Here's another one. I'm going to give you guys a straight arm lock from the side position. Modified scarf hold. Got my position tight. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slide down, pick his head up, creates a space in order for me to get my leg inside and control his head. If I control his head, I control his body. So I'm going to pick his head up, I'm going to step over, here, control his head. Now once I'm here, I'm not just going to start using my arms to try to control his arm. I want to use my whole body to control his arm. So I'm going to lean into it, control it with my whole body. Now I'm going to grab his wrist, put my arm underneath his elbow here, figure four my grip. I'm going to push his wrist away as I pull my elbows together, and I finish the arm lock, the straight arm lock from here. Now, here we go, fast motion. Let's do it with speed. Let's do a Kimura from this modified scarf hold position. I'm starting here. Got my arm underneath his armpit for my underhook. This controls his body, keeping him flat. My weight centered. We're on the off side of his chest. Now, legs in position, holding here. First thing I'm going to do, slide my hand down on the back of his head. I'm going to lift his head up. It's going to create space for me. Just bring my leg over the top and control his head with my legs. I'm going to bring my leg over on the back of his neck and lock my legs here. Now once I do that, I'm going to start to bring my whole body on his arm, because if he's strong, I'm going to need more than just my arms. I'm going to use my whole body to start controlling this arm. So I'm going to use my whole body here to start to control the arm. I'm going to lock the arm up. I'm going to grab the wrist, figure four my arms. Now from here, it's going to be hard to get the lock, so I'm going to lean back to here. Now I have the space to lock my hands and finish the Kimura. So once I get here, I'm going to push his wrist up and finish the Kimura. Notice I still have my legs locked. Makes it uncomfortable for his head. Got my figure four grip on the Kimura, and I'm just going to push his hand back. Now fast motion. Alright guys, now we're going to do what we call a falling scissor choke. Now if you're like me and you have long skinny legs, this is going to work very well for you, because I got legs like burnt french fries. And this is going to work for you if your legs are like that. Alright, I'm starting from my position. From a modified scarf hold. Got my arm underneath the armpit here, controlling his arm here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my hand down on the back of his head. I'm going to lift it up. This is going to create space for me to get my leg underneath his neck. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to lift his head up. Now I'm going to step over his head. Here. Nice and deep, nice and tight. Now once I'm here, I'm going to shoot my hips all the way over, and I'm going to turn to here. Now I'm going to put this foot down and this one over the top, because I want this foot to press this one down onto his neck. And then from here, I'm just going to scissor my legs. And if you scissor hard enough, you will chop his head clean off. Now let's do it in fast motion. We're doing arm lock from the modified scarf hold position. Starting off, solid position, solid base, good starting position. All right, I'm going to start here, pressure on him, slide my hand down, lift his head up. I'm lifting his head up because I'm going to need some type of space or something to anchor my foot down in order to finish the arm lock. So when I lift it up, I'm going to raise my hips. I'm going to step over his head and just leave my leg here, just as an anchor. This is just hooking here. So that, because if I leave it down, I may slide off or so. So I'm going to lift this up and hook onto the back of his head with my leg. Now from here, I'm keeping my balance down. I'm keeping my balance and my weight on him. I'm just holding on to his shoulder here so he doesn't throw me off this way. So I'm holding on to him here, onto his shoulder. Now from here, I'm going to take my armpit, go onto his wrist, push my hips forward, and get the arm lock. Hyperextend the elbow. So from here, pinch it back and push my hips forward. Now in fast motion. Let's do an arm lock from the modified scarf position. I start off here, nice and tight. Now, when you're talking about pulling off submissions, a lot of it has to do with your setup. Here's a very interesting setup that I'm going to use in order to get this particular technique. Start here. I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to make a C, and I'm going to put it right in his neck. And start to push away on his neck. Now, if he's smart, he's going to push my elbow away, and this is what I want him to do, because as he pushes my elbow away, it's going to create space between his arm and his body in order for me to get my leg inside. So I'm going to start here, start pushing away on his neck. He created that space. I'm going to raise my hips, get my leg inside, my knee right inside on his chest. Now from here, I'm going to throw my leg over his head. Secure the arm lock, knees together. This foot, I'm keeping it tight on his shoulder here, nice and hooking his shoulder here. Knees are together, press down on his face, and I fall back with the arm lock. Now I'm going to do it in full speed.